Welcome back to World Crisis Radio. So Obama says to Gaddafi has lost legitimacy and he must leave. He has lost legitimacy to lead and he must leave. And this raises the question, hey, Obama, what about your legitimacy, this birth certificate question? This week we had Chris Matthews freaking out at the progress of he calls them birther bills. I can't imagine how there could be an objection to simply establishing a uniform requirement for everybody that if you want to be in a primary and you want to run for office, you have to produce a birth certificate, if it's the presidency in particular, or naturalization or something like this. I can't imagine how this would be considered oppressive or paranoid or insane or so forth. But now I was hoping we could get an actual update from Phil Berg in Philadelphia about the progress of these bills requiring that you produce a birth certificate. So welcome, Phil.
Yeah, there's a number of states are doing this. I missed that Chris Matthews went crazy on that. I guess I'll challenge Chris Matthews to be on the air again. I'm sure he won't put me on.
Great.
But as you stated, it's every state should pass this. There should be no question that all 50 states should pass it. Actually, the state should not have to pass it. It should pass in Congress. But Congress won't. If you remember last year, Congressman Posey, P-O-S-E-Y, from Florida, introduced legislation that said that everyone running for president as of 2012 must show that they're constitutionally eligible. And he only got about 8 other Republicans to co-sign, but no Democrats. Now, why would no Democrats sign that legislation? For one reason. They all know that Obama is a fraud, a phony, an imposter. This is the biggest hoax against our country. I don't know what Obama has done. Perhaps he's paid off all these people with money in offshore bank accounts. But it's a disgrace that the federal government can't pass this, and now it's up to the states. But right now, I think 11 states have it. Arizona. These are pending. No one has passed it yet. Arizona was the first last year, and they're trying to do it again this year. The House passed it last year, but not the Senate in Arizona. But you have Arizona, you have Connecticut, you have Georgia, you have Indiana, you have Maine, Missouri, Nebraska, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, and Texas. And this is where I'm not sure if Pennsylvania was introduced yet, but they plan to. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Montana had passed, tried to, but that failed. But that could still come up again. But here's 11 states. Why is it not 50 states? Why are they only basically Republican states that are pushing it? Because the Democrats know that he is not constitutionally eligible. He, meaning Obama, actually real name is Soetoro. His real name is Barry Soetoro. This is such a fraud, and as you stated very well, how can he get up there and say that a leader over in Europe should go out because he's failed? Obama has failed to show us that he's constitutionally eligible to be president, and it's outrageous. One of these days, perhaps one of these world leaders will come back in Obama's face, but again, we don't know how much he's being blackmailed for and by whom. He insisted on keeping his BlackBerry once he went into office. He has his BlackBerry. And the reason for that is all conversations in the White House are supposed to be recorded. Everything that transpires there for history. I know that I saw the printout, actually. My name was on there when President Jimmy Carter called me after I hosted his mother at a reception when I was running for the state Senate back in 1980. And I didn't think anything of it. He had called me, and years later, just recently, I saw the log for that particular day. And that day, that time, my name's logged in that he spoke with me. So Obama, I really believe he's being blackmailed internally and maybe externally. His speeches are all written by somebody. They're terrific speeches, and he can give a great speech. But most of his speeches are off a teleprompter, and he's told what to say. I really believe that, and that America is waking up. Here we are 2.5 years later, and the majority of people in this country are now questioning whether Obama was constitutionally eligible to be president. And I compliment these various states for passing this legislation. It's terrific that they're introducing it. Hopefully they pass it. And really the question has to be why 50 states won't pass it. I mean, this should be a no-brainer.
Absolutely, Phil. I can't imagine any objection to this, in particular because if you don't have such a requirement, you are opening the door to blackmail, extortion, intrigue. You're inviting foreign intelligence agencies or powerful, evil domestic interests, be it a clique of generals, the Koch brothers, you name it, right? Some gang that comes in and says, guess what, Obama? If you don't play ball with us, we're going to blow your cover. I was thinking when you were talking, maybe Gaddafi could bring this issue up in response to Obama and get it on the world stage that way. Maybe Mubarak wants to say something about this from his clinic in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, perhaps, because that's the way that our national media will have to deal with this issue. I mean, think back, everyone, to what the national media did to Sarah Palin. They crucified her. They went up to Alaska. They went behind every door and under every stone and asked her every question about everything and anything. And the only reason I bring that up, I compare it to what they did to Obama. And they did nothing to Obama. So it really is, it's an outrage. It's a total disgrace that this wasn't done. And let's see, there are other states with pending. I'm looking at right here. My paralegal just sent me Arizona, I mentioned, Missouri. I guess I mentioned all the ones that are on here now. The significance is that these states should pass. We're going to start pushing pressure on them to pass. We're about to introduce another lawsuit. We're going to get Obama. As far as we're going to get him legally. This is talking about our website, which is obamacrimes.com, OBAMACRIMES.com, obamacrimes.com. And we're doing this because the reason we're doing this is because the Constitution is more important than any political party. You know, people keep saying it's a right-wing conspiracy, and I blow that theory because I'm a lifelong Democrat. And people say, how can you do it as a Democrat? Because for our country to survive, for our country to keep building, we have to say, forget political parties. The Constitution is above that. And that's why I'm doing this. And I've said from the beginning, if I'm wrong, Obama, show me proof that I'm wrong, and I'll walk away. And he hasn't been able to do that because I really believe that Obama is not only natural born. I don't think he's naturalized. I think he's an illegal alien. And that's why we had that one lawsuit. We're going to try to refile it pretty soon. And that was the one, once it's filed, I couldn't talk about it, under the False Claims Act. I claim that Obama is not natural born, not naturalized, and therefore his term as a U.S. Senator from Illinois was fraud. The salary and benefits he received of about $1 million should be taken back to the U.S. Treasury. So that case will be refiled shortly, and we're going to pursue it. In the suit itself, we're going to put in what we raised during the movement of the case, and that is the conflict of interest by Attorney General Eric Holder. And if that's not conflict of interest, there's nothing else is. And the reason I say that is because once you file that type suit, it's up to the Attorney General's office and the Department of Justice to make a decision if they're going to prosecute the case, if they're going to let the relator or person file the case, or they decide to dismiss the case. Very few cases are dismissed. They dismissed our case, and it's a blatant conflict of interest because Eric Holder was a senior member of Obama's campaign staff, number one. Number two, he was one of 3 individuals selected to select the vice president, who selected Joe Biden. And number 3, he was nominated and confirmed as Attorney General, the highest law enforcement officer in the United States, who reports to the president. So if that's not a conflict of interest, I don't know what is. I asked the court to appoint a relator or a special prosecutor. So it's about
we're out of time now. Maybe next week, why don't you tell us about the swing states here, Missouri, Pennsylvania, and maybe Indiana. Those would be swing states, especially Pennsylvania. I'm sure you know all about it.
Absolutely.
So
I'll check on
report. And we'll see you all next week on World Crisis Radio.